Hey there, Deepen Inspiration up here. I've set up my Beam Validator Node for some time now, and I'm rocking 100% uptime. And today, I'm going to take you through a step-by-step tutorial on how you can set up your validator node as well. Now, the best part of this tutorial is that I have fully automated the installation process, which means with just one line command, you would be able to install the complete validator node without typing multiple commands, which makes the whole installation process completely easy. But as always, I'm also going to go through a step-by-step process where we can also go through the long process so that you can understand the commands that we'll be doing if you'll be interested in doing so. But like I said, the one line command that I have automated really makes the whole process completely simple, and I'm going to demonstrate this to you as well. Now, if you do have any difficulty in setting up this Beam node, I'm here for you. Just book an appointment with me. I'll have a free one-on-one session with you to guide you through the entire process. The slots are going to be limited, so if you do have any questions, just feel free to reach out to me as soon as possible. So the Beam Validator node, in my opinion, requires some advanced skills, and that is why if you find it too complex to set up the node yourself, you can also just delegate your Beam node token to someone else, and then basically all the technical hassle will be taken off your shoulder. Optionally, you can also set up the node where the node has a service provider like NodeOps, and they'll take care of all the technical hassle for you. If you want to delegate your node token to me, you can just come to nodes.onbeam.com and then click on delegations, and in this section, when you scroll down, you can just search for Deepen Inspiration Hub, and this is my node, and you can also delegate your node to me. Currently, you can see I have a very good 100% uptime, and this has been running for more than 2 weeks. So that is just the intro. Let's get directly straight into the node setup. Now, as always, before we set up any node, we want to look at what the technical requirements are to set up the node. Now, in terms of Beam, what we would need, the specifications are a bit on the high end because, like I said, this is a full-blown validator node. What we would need is an 8-core CPU, 16GB of RAM, 1TB of disk space, and a Linux-based operating system like Ubuntu 22.04, which I would recommend because most of us would like to do this on a Linux operating system. In terms of internet speed per se, you don't really need that much. 5MB upside download and upload would be more than sufficient to run the node. And if you're running this at home, for instance, just remember that there would be some port forwarding required. But if you're running this on a VPS, mostly all the ports are open, so you do not need to worry about that aspect. So now the next question is, what is the best VPS provider that you can choose? As always, I'm always looking for the best options for you guys. The cheapest option that I found are with 2 VPS providers. So one is with Contabo, the second is with Netcap. And I'm going to take you through shortly what this means. So if you take Contabo, my tip for you would be not to go for the cloud VPS. The reason why I wouldn't do this is that you need 1TB of disk space, and if you want to go for the cloud VPS to get 1TB, even with 800GB, you would have to pay 58 euros a month, which is very expensive. The tip for you is the secret tier. Just come to the VPS option and choose a storage VPS, because with the node that we want to set up is the storage that is the biggest part. So here with $25 a month, you would be able to get an 8 CPU core, 16GB of RAM, and 2.4TB of SSD, which is way more sufficient to run this node that we have here. And what they also indicate is that currently, as at the time of writing, or as at the time that I'm recording this video, the L1 Beam Validator node currently consumes about 50GB of storage. So probably you do not need to 1TB at this point. But hey, if you don't want to access this every time, I would just go for the minimum requirements so that you do not have to touch this VPS again. But of course, the choice is yours. Another VPS provider that I also really use is Netcap. They also do have a stable VPS server. I'm actually using Netcap for my Beam Validator node. The reason why I use it is that they have a super fast bandwidth. With my Netcap VPS, I was able to sync the whole Beam Validator node within less than 24 hours. But with the node that I set up at Contabo, I needed about 2 days to do so. As I said, the choice is completely yours. Just take whatever option fits best for you. If you want to order it by Contabo, you can just come here, click select, and then choose the duration that you want to run this node for. If you are not very sure if the technical hurdle for the Beam Validator node is going to be something that you're going to tolerate, my tip for you would be to go for the 1 month option so that you just test the waters and see how difficult it will be for you. Because once you bind for the 24.74 a month option, it means that you are committing to this VPS server for 12 months. Now, in terms of region, you do not need to change any other region. You can leave this completely as European Union because it doesn't really affect the validator node in any way. For the operating system, my tip would be to just click down here and go with Ubuntu 22.04. For networking, you do not need to put in anything, add-ons, leave everything completely free. And this is the most important part. Here, you're going to put in the password that you want to use to connect to the VPS server. After that, make the payment and you can connect to the VPS server. I do have a dedicated video to guide you through how you can connect to the VPS server, and I'm going to link this in the description section if this is the first time you're working with a VPS. If you want to go with the Netscape option, it's in principle the same. All you have to do is to go for, my recommendation would be the VPS 4000 option. Just click on, mine is in German, but if you're in an English speaking country, the site would most likely load in English. Just come to now order, and then you can basically leave everything like I said here as well. If you go for the 12 months option, it means that you're committing to a 12 months VPS. So if you're not sure if the technical hurdle is going to be difficult for you, just go for the 0-month option, test the waters, and then see how this is going to go. For region, you can also leave this at 0 because it's going to be in the European Union and it has no effect on the validator node that you're going to run. Just add this to your basket, check out, and then also I would have a tutorial to guide you through how you can connect to the VPS server. So that was about preparation for the server that you want to use or the Linux environment that you want to use. If you do have your personal PC, which is powerful enough, hey, you can also run this at home. You do not necessarily need to go for a VPS server. So now I assume you've ordered your VPS server or you do have your environment within which you want to run the Beam Validator node. The next step is how to set up the node, which most of us are waiting for. Now, there are two options in terms of how to set up the Beam Validator node. The first method is by setting up your own Avalanche Go node, which is going to be the way that this tutorial is going to be. There's a second option that you're going to set the node up with a Docker, but I just found it more easier, in my opinion, to set it up using your own validator node. It could be that maybe you prefer the Docker option. Like I said, personally, I found setting up my own Avalanche node to be the easiest in my opinion. So that is what the focus of this tutorial is going to be. So the Beam team already provided a detailed guide on how we can set up the node. What we're going to do is I also have an extended version of this tutorial that they provided where I'm going to teach you how to install a few prerequisites like Avalanche node software to make the whole process a bit seamless for you. Like I said, I also do have a one-line script that will literally do all the things that we're going to be doing here with a single command. You can do the same thing with just one command, which I have compiled into my GitHub repository. And I'm going to show you soon how this is going to work. The other thing that we're going to have to take note of is that if you want to register the validator node, you are going to need a p-chain address. Now, this is very easy to get. You can just install Core Wallet, which is an Avalanche wallet type, a simple Chrome extension like MetaMask and all the wallets out there, and you can get a p-chain address. So now that you know the system requirements of the setting up the validator node, you know how to get a VPS if you would be interested in getting one, and all the dependencies and the method that we're going to use. Let's get straight into how you can set up the validator node. So like I said, the first option that we would go for is a one-line script that would automate the complete process for you. And I know that is what most of you would go for. If you want to look through the one-line script that I have, everything is detailed in my GitHub repository. You can go through and read all the commands that we're going to use so you can understand if you're interested in what the source of this one-line script is. So if you want to install the node using the one-line script, which I know most of you would be interested in, as always, the first thing that we're going to have to do is to connect to the VPS server. And after you are connected to the VPS server, just put in this command here. So what this command is going to do is it's going to pull the one-line script from my GitHub repository, make the script executable, and just run the script. If you'll be interested in knowing what the background of the script is, like I said, this is publicly available in my GitHub repository. You can find out all the things that the script is going to do. I'm also going to provide this command in the description section, so you can just copy paste this one-line command. If you do not want to use wget to pull the script, you can also come to my GitHub repository, just press copy here to copy the raw file or all the commands that we have here, come into your VPS server and just paste all the commands. It's technically gonna do the same thing, but I just go for the one-line script because it's way cleaner. So just put in the one-line command script that I'm going to provide also for you guys and just press enter. Then here what you're going to have to do is to accept that the terms and conditions for using the script, then press Y to accept the terms and conditions and just press enter. And in less than 1 minute, guys, the node is installed and up and running without us having to input about 20 commands. Now what this already provides you is that it outputs the node ID, the BLS public key, and the proof of possession. And these are 3 of the 4 credentials that we're going to need to register the validator node. So my tip for you would be to please save this somewhere so that you do not lose it. Now, if you want to be sure, just to prove to you that this is working, I'm going to view the logs of this validator node. Like I added to the script, you can just monitor the logs using this command here, and then just paste in the command and press enter. And then you can see that the node is already fetching blocks and bootstrapping to get the validator node ready. Now, do not rush to register the validator node yet. My tip, as always, is to just wait for the node to be completely synced. There is a few more steps that we're going to do in order to be able to get the node fully registered. I'm going to now go through the setup guide for those who would not like to use the one-line script but would technically like to understand what is beyond the one-line script. At a point in this video, I'm going to continue how to proceed after you get to this step, and how you proceed at that point is going to be the same whether you go with a one-line script or whether you go with a long method. Those who are going to go with a one-line script, I'm going to include a timestamp in this video so you can jump directly into how to proceed after the step. So for those who would like to understand every command that we are using in the one-line script, or probably want to go through the longer process, this is where I got you covered as well. Now, I've provided the commands that we're going to use here, so it's basically going to do a copy paste and then you should be good to go. The first thing that we're going to do, as always, is to update our Ubuntu repository, and we are also going to install a few applications like wget, tar, screen, jq, and curl. This might be already installed on your server, but it doesn't hurt to just try to install it if it is probably not there, or if you are not sure if this is already installed on your VPS server. I'll just paste in this command here and press enter. So now everything is installed. My Ubuntu is also at its current version. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to install Avalanche Go. So the Beam Validator Node runs on the Avalanche Go network, and that is why we're going to have to install the Avalanche Node software. Now, to do so, just copy this command here. The best part of this command is that it always pulls the latest version of the Avalanche Go. So that means that if you are doing this tutorial and there is a latest version of Avalanche, this script would already make sure that it pulls the latest version. That is what this wget command is going to do. Now, after the wget command, this command is going to literally expand or extract the file that we downloaded here, because this file that we downloaded here is a zip file, and at this stage we are going to extract that file that we downloaded. Now, after that, we're going to move the file into our user directory. We're going to make it executable, and after that we're going to remove the zip file that we downloaded. Now, to do so, just copy this command here, come into the console, paste this command, and then press enter. And then this is already downloaded and installed. Now, the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to install the Beam subnet EVM binary. Now, to do so, just copy this command here. This command is also, as the one that with at the top here, always going to download the latest version of Beam's subnet. Now, just paste in the command here and just press enter. Perfect. Now, this is also done. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to create our configuration files. Now, to do so, just copy this command that we have here, right click, choose copy, come into the console and paste in this command and press enter. And this is already done. What you realize is that we have this cd command here, with which we changed into this directory here, and that is why you see that my syntax is now so long, because I changed into this directory avalanche configs chain and 2t directory that we have here. But don't worry about that. On the next step, what we're going to do is we're going to create a system service to run this Beam Validator node. The advantage with running it as a service is that, for instance, should the node crash, it's going to restart always, and it's going to restart, for instance, 10 seconds after the node crashes. I usually install my node in a screen, but I know that a lot of you have issues running with screen, because sometimes you realize you close your VPS and the screen terminal crashes, and that is why now we are installing this node as a service. Now, to do so, just copy this command that we have here, come into the console, paste in this command, and just press enter. And now the service has been installed. So now what we're going to do is we're going to start the Beam node service. Now, to do so, just copy these 4 commands that we have here, paste in that command, and just press enter. And then now our Beam node is running. And what my tip for you would be is to just wait for about 10 seconds, and that is why I had the sleep command in the one-line script that we have. So I'm just going to wait for about 10 seconds, and we're going to fetch the credentials for this validator node. So to get the screen a bit cleaner, I'm going to clear the screen that we have here by just typing clear. And after clearing, I'm just going to go back to my root directory, because otherwise the terminal line here gets too much and it might confuse a few people. So now we have waited about 10 seconds. The node should be up and running, and we should be able to fetch the credentials of the node. Now to fetch the credentials, just copy this command here, come in here, paste this command and press enter. And what this command gives you is that it provides you the node ID, which we're going to need to register the validator node. It also provides you the BLS public key. It also provides you the proof possession. And these are 3 of the 4 credentials that we're going to need to set up this validator node. So now, whether you use the 1 lines or you went through the long process that we just did, now we're going to prepare for registering our validator node. Do not rush to register the validator node immediately after the installation. Why? Because the node is now syncing. Please do allow the node sufficient time to be completely synced before you rush to register the validator node. If the node is not completely pushed with the network and you register it, your uptime is going to be low. Why? Because the node is just not ready. Now I'm going to teach you how you can monitor the node to know if it is ready to be registered on the Beam network. On the Beam's docs, they provided 2 commands that we can use to monitor the node. Just come to docs.beam.com and then under manage a Beam node, come to monitor your node. I'm also going to provide these 2 commands in the Medium post that I have, but this is always going to be in the official. Now the first command that we're going to use is going to check the sync status of the node, and the second command that we're going to need is going to just tell you if the Beam node that you just set up is ready to be registered as a validator. Now the first thing that we're going to do is I'm going to copy the first command here. I'm going to come into the terminal and I'm going to paste this command here and then press, and then now you see it tells you that API call rejected because chain is not bootstrapping. This is because we just set up the node and the node is not even ready to be added as a validator node because it hasn't completely synced the network. Now I'm going to switch to another VPS that I created exclusively for this tutorial to show you how this command would look if your Beam node is completely synced to the network. So I'm going to paste in the same command and I'm going to press enter, and then now you see that it tells me results status syncing. Don't get confused. This is the new node that we just created where we saw that API call rejected chain is not bootstrapping. This is because we just set up this node and I just switched to another VPS that I created just to show you how this would look if your node is syncing. So if your node is completely bootstrapped, you would see that the status is going to change from API call rejected because chain is not bootstrapped to status syncing. I'm really taking my time here because this is where I screwed up at the beginning. Please give your node sufficient time to bootstrap before you rush to register the node. I'm going to show you how you can also differentiate this in the logs, but this command would really tell you what you need to know. The second command that we're going to use to check if the node is ready to be registered as a validator is this command here. Just copy this command here, come to your VPS. I'm going to go to the one that we just created and just paste in this command and press enter. And then here you see that it tells me an error code with a message. There is no chain alias ID 2T whatever it is because the node is not ready to be registered. If I go to the node that is completely synced and I put in the same command and I press enter, you see that it tells me result is bootstrapped true. This means that the node is completely bootstrapped and ready to be added as a validator node. Now I'm just going to go through the logs of these 2 nodes and show you how the logs looks like when the node is completely bootstrapped and when the node is still not ready to be bootstrapped. I'm going to run the logs here and I'm going to go to the new node that we just set up and I'm also going to run the logs here. Now here you can see that it tells me, because I just set up this node, you can see that P chain, it's still fetching blocks and it's fetching the total of, what is it, 21 million blocks, and I've only fetched, or I've only synced only about 6 million of these blocks. Now after all the P chain blocks are fetched, there are still going to be a number subsequent steps that are going to take place for your node to be registered as a validator node. So all you need to take note of is the 2 commands that I give to you. This is going to tell you if the node is ready. Now when I switch to the other VPS that is completely synced and I put in that same command, let me stop this and run it again. I just save all the commands on my terminal so that it's easier to run them. Now here you see that it looks completely different. You see that I see stuffs like GC nodes, what is it, 1,200,000 and something. I have nodes 1,000,000 something. I have size, some megabytes. I have time. So you see that, and I also have live nodes to 8,697. So you see that the logs looks completely different than the one that we just sent up. This node is still syncing to the network, it's not ready, and this node is completely synced to the network, and that's why they look completely different. So like I said, it's extremely important to make sure. I'm going to press Ctrl+C to terminate this, and by the way, if you are on the locks, you can just press Ctrl+C on terminals, and then it basically quits the logs, and then you can continue. I took my time here because this is extremely important for you to understand before you register the validator. Like I said, all the 2 commands that you're going to use are stored here in the Beam Validator Node, and I'm also going to put this in my blog post so that it'll be easy for you to access and know when your node is ready to be registered. Now at this stage, whether you use the one-line script or you use the long method, the rest of the process is going to be identical. We're going to proceed with the things that we need to do before we proceed with registering the Beam Validator Node. So now I imagine that your node is completely synced and your node is ready to be added to the network. Now to do so, there are a few things, that information that we're going to need. The first information that we're going to need is the node ID, and if you use the one-line script, it already provided these ID to you. BLS public key is also already provided for you or to you by the one-line script, and also the proof of possession, the code is also already provided to you. Now if for instance you didn't save the script, or if you didn't save these credentials, with my one-line script, I also made it a bit easy for you. All these credentials are saved in the text file. So just type cut space and then copy. The command is going to be the same. I just have it here. That is why I'm just pulling it. I'm also going to put this in the video post and then paste this in this command and just press enter. And you see that it gives you the node ID, the BLS public key, and also the proof of possession. There is also a command that you can use that is also provided on the Beam official docs. Now when you come to register validator node and you scroll down, you see this section here. To get this information, node ID, BLS public key, proof of possession, they tell you to use this command here. So I'm just going to show you how this. When you paste in this command here and press enter, you see that it gives you the same information, the node ID, proof of possession, and the public. But here you have to be very careful that you don't overcopy, and that is why I made this a bit easier for you. If you use this command, it basically breaks down everything line by line so that it's easy to copy and register the node. So now that from a registration perspective your node is completely synced, I'm going to show you the next steps on exactly how you can register this validator node. Now, like the Beam docs already said, there are a few things that we're going to need. One more thing that we're going to need is a p-chain address, as they mentioned in their docs. Now this address is not accessible to any other wallet apart from the Avalanche core wallet. Now this is a simple Chrome extension wallet that you can download. So I'm just going to open this. Just come here, click on this. It's going to open the Chrome extension for you, and then you can basically add this Chrome extension to your wallet, just like any wallet, Binance Phantom wallet, MetaMask wallet. And then I'm not going to do this example here because I don't want to compromise my wallet. And then after that, you can basically get your wallet installed, and then also you would get your account. Now I'm going to show you how you can get this p-chain address from one that I already installed. So basically, after you install the wallet, just come up here. You would see this core. By the way, if you're watching this video, I'm launching my website soon, and that's what I'm just showing you as a preview here. It's going to be lit. I'm going to have all the tutorials that I'm creating on this website. There's also going to be a shop where you can find all the depending gear. So hey, don't miss out. Make sure that you stay tuned to check out this website when I launch. And by the way, a lot of work goes into creating these tutorials that I create for you guys. So if you do enjoy the tutorials, please make sure that you hit the subscribe button to also boost my channel to be able to bring these tutorials to you. That was just by the way. So now you have installed the core wallet. I'm going to show you how you can fetch this p-chain address. Now just click on the core wallet here. And this is one thing that I also wanted to mention to you. On the Beam docs, they tell us to go to this page here, and then typically you would have had to just connect your wallet here, but it tells you components not found. If the Beam team is watching this video, please make sure that you update the link that you provided here, because the current link that is provided here doesn't take you to the part where you can fetch the p-chain address. It used to work, but I think Avalanche changed their builders hub a bit, and now the core command or the core page is not working anymore. But like I said, you don't need this page. You can also directly fetch this from your core wallet. When you open your core wallet, just click on this section here to go to account, and then tap the 3 dots that we have here, and then go to view details. Now when you're on view details under Avalanche p-chain, you see that there is an address for c-chain, there's an address for x-p-chain, and there's an address for Bitcoin. Please only use this address for the p-chain. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to click on copy to copy this address. I'm just going to open my notepad and I'm going to paste in this address here. And at this point, this is extremely important. The full address here is not the full P chain to register the Beam Validator. So just come to the first section here. Before the AVAX, just type P, capital P, and then minus or the hyphen symbol, and this is going to be your full P chain address. So here I'm just going to put in chain here just for you to understand, space, and I'm going to go to the VPS credentials. I'm going to copy these credentials here and I'm going to paste this in the notes. And then folks, these are the 4 things that we're going to need to register the validator node. Like I said, you're going to need the node ID, the BLS public key, the proof of possession, and P chain. Remember the P chain, you need to add this P hyphen to it. I think that is why the Beam docs suggested we go to a page that would already have this included. It used to work, but now the page is not working anymore. And this is as simple as how you can get this P. And after these, you would be able to come to the Beam Validator Node page to register your node. Now to register the validator node, you just have to come to nodes.onbeam.com/validators, and this is also provided in the Beam official guide under register a validator node. When you just click on this page, validator page, it would bring you to the same page that we have. So here you can see that I have 2 validators that I set up just testing the network. So this is main validator node that I have. If you want to delegate to me, you can also delegate to me, and this is just a test node that I just set up. Now to register and add a new validator node, all you need to do is just come to add new, and then in this section under node ID, I'm just going to copy the node ID that we just pasted in Notepad, and under BLS key, I'm also going to copy this. I'm going to paste this in here, and then I'm going to come to BLS proof of possession. I'm also going to copy this. I'm going to paste this in here, and then under P chain address, I'm also going to copy my Avalanche P chain address, and then I'm going to scroll down. Now under this commission, this is how much commission you want to take from people who register or bind their node token to your validator node. I'm going to show you how this looks. For instance, if you come to my Beam Validator node, you can see that I'm currently taking 1% commission, and this is basically how much commission you can take. You see that some people take 5% commission, so it's technically how much commission you want to take from anyone who delegates their node to yours. So here you can just put in any number that you want, or how much you want to take as commission. And then here, very important, this is the minimum duration you want to stake your Beam tokens. So you can go for either 2 weeks, 21 days, or you can also go for 28 days. And then after that, just scroll down here, and if you do have any node token, you can basically click or check the node tokens that you want to bind to this validator node. I have consumed all my node tokens, and that is why I can basically show you this part. But I have a video that I recorded when I was doing my validator node to show you how this looks. And then in step 3, you basically have to stake some Beam tokens to register your validator node. The minimum that you're going to have to stake is 20,000 Beam. So make sure that you have sufficient Beam to be able to register the validator node. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to do so. And then here, very important, the Beam tokens has to be on the Beam chain. The Beam team have a very nice bridge that you can basically bridge your tokens. If you don't have it on Beam network, maybe from Ethereum to wherever you want to, bring it to the Beam chain. You can also swap your tokens. If for instance you have your tokens in USDT or USDC somehow on the Beam chain, but you do not have Beam, you can also swap the tokens to Beam. So what I personally did is that I couldn't get Beam directly, so I bridged USDC or USDT from, for instance, Ethereum from here using the bridge from Ethereum. Yeah, USDC was Ethereum to Beam, and then after that I came to the swap and swapped my USDC from Beam to Beam token on the Beam network. It's a bit complicated, but basically that's how the swap and the bridge works. Maybe if you are lucky and you have your Beam tokens directly on the Beam network, you do not need to go through this hassle. And then when you are done, just click on finish registration. I'm going to show you a quick video that I recorded when I was doing this my first time to show you how this looks. So this is mine when I was doing this for the first time. You see that I filled in all the credentials, and then at step 2, I chose the number of node tokens I want to register or that I want to bind to the validator node. Here, a pro tip for you. Please take this tip from me. Do not, if you have multiple node tokens, please do not select all for the first time, because I screwed up. I had 4, and for the first registration I chose all the 4, and then I screwed up with the node, and then after that my node tokens were locked luckily the Beam support team were very kind to me to unlock the tokens that were stacked so that I could do this tutorial again. So my tip for you is that just take one of them and then finish the registration, and after that bind the other 3 or whatever number of free tokens that you have to this one. To repeat, do not select, if you have multiple node tokens, do not select all of them at once to bind to this validator. Just select one of them for the binding and then bind the other tokens that you have to this validator by just going to the Beam Validator Node on the delegation page. I'm going to show you how this looks. So basically, assuming you have done everything, just click on finish registration, and then you're going to have to sign the transaction on your wallet to get the Beam tokens bound to your account, and after that you can see successfully submitted validator registration, and then you can see that the status is pending, and then when everything is done you see that it tells you status completed, and then you get a notification down here, validator registration also completed. If everything works out after some time, do not panic if you did not see this immediately. Sometimes it takes a few minutes for you to see this. You would see the validator node that you registered also showing up under your my validators. If you want to delegate your other node tokens to it, just come to delegations and then search your Beam node that you just set up. You can just search it here. For instance, in my case, Tip and Inspiration Hub, and then you can click on this, and then if you had other node tokens, then please take the other node tokens to the validator node you just registered. Like I said, do not select all the validator nodes to bind to the node at the beginning process that you are registering the node, because if you screw up like I did, then you basically have locked all your tokens. Now, one of the final but most important things that we're going to do is to back up the keys to the node that we just set up. So immediately after you register the node and the registration was successful, please back up the keys. Why do you need to back up the keys? Because you stick your Beam tokens to the node, you stick your node tokens also to the node. So if anything happens to your VPS, or if anything happens to your node, you do not have the keys to this node, you completely lose the node forever. And that is why it's extremely important to make sure that you back up the node once the registration is successful, so that if you lose the node for any reason, you can restore this. So what I'm going to teach you is how to back up the node and also how to restore the node if you lose the node. Now what we're going to do is also well documented in the Beam docs. Basically, you can back up the whole DP directory, but this is a bit too elaborate because it backs up the whole validator node files. I think the best thing that we can do is just to back up the staking directory, because this contains the signer key, the staker file, and also the staker key. And with these 3 keys, we would be able to restore the node if we lose the node. Now, to back up the keys, I would personally recommend that you use an FTP application. An FTP application is any application that allows you to connect to your VPS server to easily drag and drop and manage the files. I find it way easier than doing everything terminal. Now, my recommended application that you can use, for instance, is FileZilla. This is a free application that you can download depending on your operating system, and you'll be good. So for instance, in my case, I think I'm using the FileZilla server, and then this would be able to help you to be able to connect to the VPS server and back up these keys. Now I'm going to show you quickly how you can do this. So after you download FileZilla, just open the application, and at the top section here, you see we have host, username, and password. The host is going to be the IP address of your VPS server. The username is going to be the username that you use to log on onto your VPS server or whatever compute that you have. Mostly for VPSs, these are roots, and then here you're going to put in the password. And very important for the port is going to be port 22. And when you're done, just click on quick connect, and then it's always going to ask you if this is the first time you're connecting to the VPS server, if you trust this. Now in my case, I'm pretty sure this is the case, so I'll just click on always trust this host, and then I'm going to click on OK. And then you can see that I'm connected to my VPS server. Now when you're connected to the VPS server, you come under the folder root, and this is the folder that we are looking for, the folder that is called Avalanche. So when I open this folder, there are a lot of folders here that you see. You can use the DP. The DP is basically going to contain all the files with respect to the node itself, but what we are interested in is the staking folder. So when you open the staking folder, you see 3 things: the signer key, the staker, and the staker. And these are the same 3 files that we saw from the Beam documentation. Now what we're going to do is you can basically, I'm going to go back. You can just press double click here, it takes you back. I'm just going to select the staking folder, and then you're going to navigate to wherever you want to store this. So in my case, for instance, I'm going to create a new folder called Beam Node Backup. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to drag the staking folder into the Beam Node Backup folder that I create. And then voila, you now have the 3 keys that you can use to restore your VPS server should you lose your VPS server or should you lose your node in any case. So now that we have backed up the keys, I'm going to show you how you can restore the keys or how you can restore the node if you have to do a fresh install so that you don't lose your tokens and node token that are bound to this node. So assuming you have a fresh VPS that is ready to be set up as a Beam Validator node, and then here we're going to install the Beam Validator node. In my case, I'm just going to use the one-line command that I have to install the whole node, so that's going to be completely easy for us to set it up. So I'm going to press enter to install this node. I'm going to press right to proceed. So now the node that I just set up is backed up. You see that I have the node key, public key, and proof of possession, but we're not going to need this because we want to put in our own backed up keys. Just to be sure that everything is working, I'm going to run the logs and see what is happening in the logs. So I see that everything is going on well, so that means that the node was completely set up. I'm going to press Ctrl C, and what we're going to do now is we're going to stop the node from working because it's going to be bootstrapping the network, but because we want to change the keys, it makes no sense for it to proceed. So to stop the node, we're going to use the command sudo system control stop beam node. This is going to stop the beam node service. Now if the node is stopped and now I try to check the logs, you see that it tells me that the service has been stopped, which means that the node is not running. Now we can proceed with the backup. I'm just going to press Ctrl C to leave the node screen. Now what I'm going to do now is I'm going to FTP into the VPS server the same way that we backed up the keys. Now what we're going to do is we're going to enter this Avalanche Go folder, and then you're going to enter the staking folder that we have here. Now in this folder, we're going to replace these 3 files with the keys that we backed up. So I'm just going to delete this for now. I'm going to press yes to delete, and I'm going to just navigate to wherever you stored your node backup. In my case, I put it in a folder called Beam Node Backup. I'm going to open the staking folder, and I'm going to copy these 3 keys into the staking. Please make sure that you are copying these 3 keys into the staking folder. So I'm just going to go back one step, and when I come back into my staking folder, you see that I have the 3 keys that I just. Now what we're going to do now is we're going to go to the Beam node on the VPS terminal, and we're going to restart the node. So now I'm on the VPS terminal. I'm just going to type clear to clear the screen so that it becomes easier for you guys to follow what I'm doing. Now what we're going to do is we're going to use this command here, sudo system control restart Beam node. All we are telling the server to do is to restart the server that is running the Beam node. When you press enter, the service is now running, and after that, when I check the logs, you see that it's already picked up the new node that we just set up. So when I scroll up here, you see that it picked up my node ID. So if the backup was successful, the node ID should be the old node ID that you had on the VPS server. If you still have the new node ID that was generated when you freshly installed this node, it means that your backup was not successful. But so long as you see now the old node ID that you had when you backed up this node, it means that the backup and the restoration of the node was successful. Okay folks, so basically that's it about how to set up the Beam Validator node. Probably was a bit lengthy. I don't know how long this tutorial was, but like I said, the Beam Validator node is an intensive node to set up. So it was extremely important to me that you understand everything that we did. If you do have any questions, hey, you can book a one-on-one call with me, and then we can chat on everything that we did here. Or maybe if you need help with your setup, just hit me up. I can do this for free for you to take you through the entire process. You can also join my Discord community where we basically talk about node and depends if you have any questions. And with that, I say thanks for watching this video, and see you folks in the next one. Bye.